But how are the children do? They share the Queen Quet.
Y'all like this song? You can get it. Oh no, some can't. But that silence I'm hearing is the same thing that makes people believe they have the consent to do whatever they like with resources, environmental resources, human resources, cultural resources, historic resources. If you say nothing, those who do speak make the decisions. And those who write it make the laws. And whether you spoke up or not, they will tell you when you violate the law, here's a fine. Bet you will speak up then. Because then you'll try to deny why you should be fined. But they'll tell you, this is not the law, and ignorance of the law is what? Oh, y'all don't know. Bet you the lawyer goes, ignorance of the law is no defense. Ignorance of the law also causes a denial of rights to many people across the world, including those who are the natives, the indigenous people of this area. Not only the Yamasee, the Disto, and the Cree that are part of many of the Gullah Geechee family bloodlines, but the Africans who are called Gullah Geechees. We're indigenous because we grew up our culture out of this soil of the Sea Islands between Jacksonville and Jacksonville. From Sullivan's Island emerged a massive system, what is called the crime against humanity. Sullivan's Island in Charleston County is where over 40% of all Africans enslaved in North America came through. They were then brought from the pest houses in Sullivan's Island and eventually brought downtown here to Charleston, South Kakalaki, Charleston. Hi, y'all. Welcome to Charleston. But now, everyone who's from Charleston loves to still welcome people to Charleston. But they had no idea that they would stay. They thought they'd visit and take a little sit down, just a little while, like going to the house with your girl, get some little sweet tea, have some of our Charleston tea, because it's on the American tea farm, and then you go on back and visit again later. But folks got comfortable in their piazzas. They started staying. Now the piazza wasn't good enough. That don't work for us. We used to these things called skyscrapers. The most our sky gets scraped before was with two stories. About the height of this here right here. Not to the point where we had to do this to see the top of it. People start wondering, what are those? And one thing we never did in the Gullah Geechee Nation was build on and into the marsh and into the beach. Because we know our nourishment came from there. As our elders and our ancestors taught us, the water bring you, the water might take you back. So we always respected it that way. But other people came in and they said, well, that's not the way you should live, because there's a better way to do it. There's a way to bring in more money, but everything's not about money. It's about family and community and culture and how you live in balance with everything. So we started seeing those same places where indigo used to grow, now being concrete surfaces. We started seeing places where sweetgrass used to grow, being blocked off from the sweetgrass makers because somebody put a no trespassing sign at the front of the gate and then decided that that building that they wanted to have scrape the sky was more important than those cultural and those environmental resources that existed in there. And then they said, well, what we got now ain't big enough. It's not enough. There's more people coming. We got to build hotels. Because they got to stay over there. And then the ones who live here, we got to build these things called condos for them. such words in God. He ain't such a word as hotel. He ain't such a word as condo. Because we ain't got all these kind of people that call in and out of the show. Well, I got a home. Oh, they ain't did it. Oh, I got a family. Oh, they ain't got nothing. But I got God. And I praise it. God bless you, Dad. Yeah, please. That thing from down pot. A place where you can go out yonder and shout. A place where you can grow. And have family grow. But the more that people can, the more we got stripped of all of that. And eventually, people saw us and didn't see us because they didn't know it was us. So now we were sitting, sewing a basket in the market. When they showed up, you now Gullah Geechee. If I ever the crack people get the shit, the crack people get the shit, they don't stand and tall, they just say, eh? So you start speaking like this, oh, okay, that's not a Gullah Geechee. Then, if we around here barefoot, you sure not gonna be a Gullah Geechee because I see the movies. That's what they started telling us. We said, what movies? Documentaries. And every documentary saw other folks, they had no short foot. But yet, I wouldn't say that the arm really short, taught shoe lasting. And so I always bring out my shoes later so that I don't pass out in the beginning because I truly am a Gullah Geechee. But where I come from, the images of my family house, people have shoes on their feet. They might have boots with some big overalls, but they sure have shoes on their feet. They might have been a little tight, they might have been busted up, but they have shoes on their feet. And when they go into those sacred areas, and they will reach out on our beautiful oak trees, pull down these long red beard, I don't call them flat balls, and stick a little bit in that shoe, so they could walk lightly, and so it could heal their body. And I know other children know that, but that talk. But even in the morning time, when they go out seeking and crying out, sometimes when they take a little bit of bush back and we also get up, and they make a tea, and a mother, and like everlasting. How are they? And I told her to say, we don't see that now. The healing herbs, people aren't seeing now. Even Spanish moss or Hilton Head, the last time I was there, the second to last time I was there, someone said to me, Queen Gwen, I got a question for you. I said, yes, which question is that now? They said, what's happening to our trees? I said, the trees are standing. What's the matter? She said, well, look at it. It's an oak tree. And look at that. And look at that. And the Spanish moss is down on it. And they're full-grown trees. And I said, well, how tell them I said, got my sickness on your Hilton Head for all this you got to do. Because what I said, hell no, all our trees still have our Spanish moss. I said, well, we need to do a study about that to find out what's happening to these resources. So what I heard, some international folks were coming to the Gullah Geechee Nation. And they wanted me not just to welcome folks here, but to actually talk about Gullah Geechees. But talk about, again, some words that don't exist in our language. The words that I found, we are the living example of sustainability and adaptation. I said, now, why somebody got to study that? I thought you just lived those things. And then folks said, remember who you're dealing with. I said, well, that's right. Then there are other people, the men folk, they are other people like a we. Everywhere I go in the world, other people have a different view on how they look at life, what's important. And they're kind of similar in those things. And the things that we do to live every day, we don't write papers about it. We definitely don't kill people by PowerPoint. So I said, well, that's interesting. Because I actually needed to go look up what these words meant in these other people's world, because I know what they mean in my world. To sustain yourself, is what we do every day when we go out to the creek and we catch some shrimp with the cast nets, and we catch that mullet, and we used to be able to catch the catfish. Now the catfish done gone all up in the Edstone River. That we river, they can cricket, they down Punxsutawney, and they can come up here for some reason. We gonna study that too. And so I said, we didn't eat that. When we go out and we go to a praise meeting, and we gather everybody together in the bush hour, the brush hour, for them getting people get you, and people they know you, and you be out there for a day clean, and you can stay down in the prayer day. People they would call the police because police here first been there. We were our own police. That's how we sustain ourselves, with faith and physical nourishment. So I said, I need to understand what others mean by sustaining themselves, and then it's still a win. But sustainability goes with another word called resilience. I said, here we go. So that's a new word for this year in academia. And they said, well, yeah, we're doing sustainability studies, but we're also looking at resiliency. I said, well, I think you just have to be the most resilient people in the world to survive the transatlantic slave trade, Reconstruction, the Civil Rights Movement, our current human rights movement, while dealing with hurricanes. Before there were little blue and white signs that said evacuation route, because we weren't going nowhere when we was going anymore. Some of our islands still do not have bridges. So how do we stay there, survive the storm literally, and then reemerge happy, shouting, praising God that we lived through another one. Hurricane Hugo, David, Floyd, many of us sitting here today lived through those. We ain't going to even go back to Gracie and all that. Here it is. We got a church named after them storms now, like Gracie. That people remember, but we never wrote it down. But I want to wrote down what the meaning of resilience was and adaptability, according to an American dictionary, because Americans don't speak a form of English, but in England the Queen doesn't believe you speak English now. This Queen will accept it. Resilience, the ability of a substance or object to bring back into shape. It's also defined as elasticity, or the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties. And the last word to put on it is toughness. Then it says for adaptability is being able to adjust to new conditions and able to modify for a new use or purpose. What I thought interesting about that was it also put an example, a workforce with adaptable skills. So this modern day definition caused me to go right back to the 16, the 17, and the 1800s when my people were brought over here because of their work skills and their ability to grow Carolina gold rice, which requires fresh water, grown up on the sea islands. They're sit in the Atlantic Ocean, which means they are surrounded by what kind of water?
Salt water.
Praise the Lord. Somebody knew the answer because the rest of y'all will yet pray for y'all. The Atlantic Ocean is salt water. Please don't drink any while you're here. So now, here it is. When you grow rice, you need fresh water. But they grew rice, tons of Carolina gold rice, especially out of Georgetown, north of here. It's the #1 area throughout the colonies, growing tons of rice to do what with it? Not for us, but to ship out to sell. We had to adapt our skills. The Gola and the Gizi of the Windward Coast, Rice Coast, didn't have to adapt their skills to anything except a new environment that was forested. How do we clear it? We clear it because the evil is already here, but the people of Angola are already here. And the people of Angola brought in the blacksmithing skills that you see still all over the city of Charleston due to Philip Simmons keeping up that particular skill and adapting it for making axes and saws and plows, and then coming downtown from Daniel Island and saying, I might not need to do that anymore, but I can still use the skill, because you will always want a gate to enter your land. Because for some reason, people in Europe love gates. And for some reason, the people in Africa don't need them. Unless we have horses and cows and things that just bad and won't stay where we put them at. Or keep wandering off too far to the rest of people's land, and you get people caught and think you rich. So you have to corral them in. But we never try to corral ourselves in or block anybody out. But now, we had to adapt to a new environment. We had to be tough enough to hold on to who we were, while people told us that having our own language, having our own traditions, having our own culture was of no value to anybody but us. In fact, they said it was of no value at all. That we were backward or ignorant to continue to go out and get natural herbs from out of the bush. That we were backward and ignorant to shop like this. But guess what? Today when I say, and it sounds right to me, because I'm hoarse, because my sinuses are infected, because I was in North Charleston last Friday and had a negative reaction to whatever I ate in North Charleston that was vegetables last Friday. And then I thought about it, and I said, isn't that interesting? That you go to a place that now the national news sees as synonymous with death because of the murder that took place there. People who lived there remember the factories exploding around them, and they know of family members that have died because of environmental injustices that happened there. And so I said, okay, God, you wanted me to experience this and have to then adapt to the moment of whether I'd have a voice to speak or not. And what would I do if I didn't have the voice to sing, to share who I really was with this new community of people from around the world coming in to learn how we sustained who we are. And we sustained ourselves in many ways by the same methods that our ancestors did, by living our culture and tradition each day. And because this is the International Decade of People of African Descent, I thought it not robbery, as we say in the church, to mention that this is apropos, that it's appropriate that we talk about this now. That Gullah Geechee culture has been resilient enough to adapt, to be able to sustain itself in the midst of hardship, in the midst of environmental injustice, in the midst of land loss, in the midst of heirs property laws, burial area losses, and the denial of our rights. And I've been deposed so many times in court for all of these issues and road projects that it ties directly into the work that on the international platform we continue to do with the United Nations. We are also a part of the International Human Rights Association for American Minorities, which is an NGO with consultative status with the UN. So in this decade, we seek to have programs of implementation for recognition, justice, and development, but the development amongst those communities that are the children of the people of African descent. And so that their communities still develop in the way that they naturally have their culture and not have it eroded away because someone else says that they shouldn't have a voice or they couldn't hear their voice. And so we made a decision for them. So we thank you for being here to have a dialogue with us today. And I thank God for giving me a voice so that we'll be able to talk more about this. Because on the chiller, ain't over yet. We just getting started.
so much. That was inspirational, as usual.